I'm going to call the meeting to order on June 22nd at 6 p.m. and this meeting is being recorded and broadcast. Brendan, do you want to take it away with your report?
Sure. So the first item in the report is the fact that the Senior Citizen Tax Relief Committee that the Selectmen pulled together has met now for the first time to go over generally what their charge is, and I believe they're going to meet again in the fall, probably considering some of the things that they talked about at the first meeting. Annie, you coordinated and organized the actual meeting itself. Did you have anything in particular to report?
No, I'll just give you a brief overview. We went through the PowerPoint that we had created and talked about each point, and then we had some kind of general assignments. We asked Steve Poulos, who's also a town administrator, and want him to do some outreach on how many folks are actually leveraging or availing themselves of any of those tax incentives. So we can get, he wants to, we're just trying to see how many people actually are using these exemptions, and then trying to get a meeting together with Mike Flynn and another gentleman who's an economics professor to help us create some models so that we could, once we know that data, what could happen if we actually really marketed these things and got people to use them, what would the impact, because some of them are often, you know, if I'm paying fewer taxes, that means you're paying more tax, right? So it was basically just kind of a review, and then
That's the recharge of the
what is
air.
that?
So we have a dry fire suppression system up in the areas that are not heated,
Yeah.
and that pressure gets pressurized every once in a while. So you're hearing that compressor come on.
I thought it was
No,
this.
it's part of the building.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry about that. So anyway, it kind of was like an assignment committee discussion, and I'm excited about it.
So what will happen as a result of those, the feedback that they get and what you find? Is it likely to move forward, or if you don't get what you want, then you'll say, okay, nobody wants it, or will you continue no matter what?
I think that we're going to come back with data, keep working. I mean, this was the first meeting, so there's a lot more work to do, and hopefully have something at least to bring at least one thing forward.
Yeah.
Hopefully that trust at the fall town meeting.
Okay.
So maybe it won't go as fast as we'd like it, but if we could do something in the fall and something in the spring and have some work to show for it, I think that's great.
Sure.
So do you have so I can just put it on the calendar, you're looking at a September meeting?
We were talking about late August, but I have to do a doodle poll.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And I also have to set up a remote meeting because one person, it's a challenge for him to get there in time, so.
Next is the fact that the Affordable Housing Trust also met in between your selectmen's meetings. Generally speaking, the Affordable Housing Trust would like to get together with the selectmen and with the planning board, as was discussed when the housing production plan was being approved, and that will actually occur at your next meeting. They're going to post and come to your meeting, because before they go off in any particular direction on what they're going to do to implement the plan, they want to make sure that the selectmen and the planning board are in agreement. One of the things that they'd like to do is work on an inclusionary zoning bylaw, which means for a larger size development, the bylaw requires that a certain number of units would be affordable units. Right now, there is a grant application that the town planner submitted on that. So if we get that grant, it would be a great way to get technical assistance to move toward that goal. Local initiative project is something where you work together with other parties, and in this case, it is possible that the former Allen property that was purchased by Brian Tardif could be sold to the Harbor Light Community Partners Organization if they can also get their hands on a neighboring parcel that is not part of the Allen. In fact, it was thought to have been, but the land court actually dictated that it was owned by someone else. I think, Annie, you and I are going to sit down with those landowners later after the holiday and hopefully see whether that has any legs. And then also, we could possibly partner with Action Inc. For the Affordable Housing Trust to supply Action Inc. with a small amount of money that could be dedicated to the housing needs of eligible people in the town of Essex. So those things will be covered with the other two boards when they assemble with you next time. I don't know if you had any questions on that.
I did have one question, because I know that we had talked about the legality of the funds to go to action for that sort of relief effort.
Right, and town council has indicated that he feels that it is within the purview of the trust.
So how do you come to a do you just go with what our town council advises? Like, how do you, because I think that there was a member of the committee who felt that it was
Yes.
not. So how do you reconcile that?
Well, one thing
And I'm sorry if that's a stupid
Yeah, I was
question.
speaking with town council about what else he could maybe bring, because the member of the Affordable Housing Trust was questioning how the wording for the mission of the trust could possibly allow that to occur.
Yeah,
And town council says it's very, very broadly defined in that it could certainly be done that way. And in fact, the Community Preservation Fund provides that kind of funding as well. And in fact, the Community Preservation Committee is what provided the funding that the Affordable Housing Trust has amassed to date.
right.
So he was thinking of getting back to that member through me to provide some other examples. So that's our
Perfect.
next step.
Thank you.
What
Yep.
kind of money does Harbor Light have? When you say a small amount, is it like in terms of housing, small amount, or?
Oh, they have access to grants and gifts. There are a lot of benefactors. I don't know what their budget is in its entirety, but in this case, if Mr. Tardif doesn't want to continue to develop that property, and he can get whatever it is to carry his costs from being involved with it, it seems affordable because, and I don't know what his discussions have been directly with Harbor Light, but Harbor Light is saying right now there is a path forward if they can get their hands on the adjacent property.
Good. Okay.
Next, we have the fact that the board asked me to take a look at the use of AI to present the town fees project that former Selectman Ingaharo worked very hard on in a way that was user-friendly at the website. After working with Colby Cousins of the North Shore IT Collaborative, he was able to use some of the tools he has to come up with a pretty neat package, and it was my recommendation that we embed that on the website, start allowing people to use it, and in the meantime, go back to all the departments, boards, and committees, ask them what they feel the most common projects and questions are that they get. Then we could code all of those questions very easily by assigning each permit that's in there its own unique identifier. And if we do the legwork on that, after the departments get back to us, somebody could say, I want to put in a fence, and it's going to pull up all the things that might be necessary,
That's great.
that type of thing. So that would be 2.0.
Yeah, so helpful.
So is the board in agreement that we should try embedding this tool until we get into that next step?
I only played with this for a minute, but I wonder if we need to do any more tags in here to get the right, because, I put a tag in there and it didn't bring me into anything.
In like the search box?
Yeah,
Okay.
so keyword search, I wonder if we
Right.
may want to just add some keywords to some of the things to get it to pop up. I mean,
Oh, I see.
already, you've got, the departments have all of their things listed, which is really helpful, because I can just scroll down and look
Right.
for that. But I'm just wondering, not today, but as we go along,
Well, maybe, yes, so maybe we can put it up as is, and then step 1.5 will be keywords for what's there. Step 2, right, 2.0 will be real questions.
yeah,
Will that work for the board?
but I love this, I think it's great.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move forward with it. With respect to remote meeting coverage in other communities, I did reach out to the North Shore IT Collaborative. There are 8 communities in the collaborative. When I discussed how they handle remote meetings, all of them came back and said, it gets more challenging when you get down to a board or committee who does not have paid staff that's helping them. It doesn't mean it can't be done, and Annie knows that we've already purchased a device that can be set up simply with a laptop. Where it gets more complicated is, did the board or committee that was setting up a meeting have the foresight to understand what platform they were going to use, the link to the meeting so that it could be put on the agenda, and then the follow-through afterward? It's probably pretty easy to bring a laptop, connect the device to it, and you're broadcasting, but if the proper link wasn't organized and put out correctly in the first place, nobody's going to know where to find you.
Yeah,
Definitely the preference is to have some kind of staff member involved, but doesn't mean we couldn't encourage a small board or a small committee to try it, and we would have to kind of guide them through from agenda posting and choice of platform all the way through to how are you getting this recorded, where is it going to be stored after that, and
Where would they all be stored in the same place or all stored?
depends on the platform.
Yeah.
well, what has to be stored? Only the transcript, only the minutes, not the recording, correct?
If you create a recording, I don't think it has to remain as a public record if you transcribe the meeting into minutes and then eventually get the minutes approved by the board.
Right.
So it has to last as long as there are no approved minutes. Even if you have draft minutes, that recording has to last. I believe that's the rule.
Okay.
So, if you're not looking to keep recordings or even have recordings, I suppose it's good, but how likely is a small board or committee to follow it through to the level where that is going to be easily served up?
Yeah,
I mean, we can help them on a one-off type of thing, and we will, and maybe we have to grow into it. But that was the big takeaway.
yeah,
When it's an organized program that somebody's managing for them all the way through, it goes really well.
yeah.
When it's not organized to that level, it doesn't go as well.
So I know that Teresa successfully does it for the planning board. It would be great if we could ask her to document her process,
Sure.
because that, and then just see how easy is it for, anyone who has an admin to follow.
If you put it out publicly like that, do you have to record it?
No, you do not.
Oh, you don't? So if you have a...
You don't have to record it, no, it's just,
Just have
it's an
the
aid
meeting.
to participation. And in fact, unless the chair of the meeting recognizes the public, it's a one-way conversation.
Right.
But with,
That might be the way to start,
yeah.
to get people used to it.
And you also, if there's a technical difficulty, when it's posted, you would say that if there's a technical difficulty, this will not obviate the validity of the meeting.
Yeah,
And we do that with the selectmen's meeting.
yeah. I will say, though, Peter, for, like, small little things, like this senior tax thing, I recorded the meeting and nobody ever wants to take minutes. They never remember. I mean,
Yeah,
you've been
right.
on
No,
those.
I
It's
understand.
really hard to get the minutes for those small gatherings.
Yeah, so if you record it, then you can transcribe it and then come up with something that's
And you
close.
cheat with your notes using AI, but you have to review it. But,
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, if that helps with more transparency on these committees that don't have somebody to do all that sort of work, I think it's kind
And
of,
we have the spare unit now,
yep.
and there'll be a way to, if they don't have a laptop, we can find a way to do that. So we're moving forward,
I think that's great. Thank you very much for all of that.
Sure. Okay, town social media outlets. I was able to look at the policies, these being the internal policies of the various communities that we were focusing on. Dexter came up with a number of communities where he feels that the social media presence is well done. And the next step, if you want to move forward, is to start looking over how they organize their internal management of the platform so that we could perhaps take the elements that you like and come up with something that would work in Essex. And I was pleased to see that most of them I was able to obtain how, in the background, how they run their particular platforms.
And it's pretty turnkey for things that we're already doing, right? For the most part.
Well, it just comes to, if it's department by department, they're running their own content,
Right.
deciding what to do. But if the goal is to get to a main town website, well, now, you have to have rules over who's going to be able to jump on there, because that's reflective of the town in general and of the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what would you see as a next step? Do you want to look at taking elements that you see in those sample policies and saying, I really like this, I want that to be in there? I mean, where do you want to go next with it?
Yeah, I think that would be a good next, well, I think outlined in the notes that I shared, agreeing on the scope is going to be first and foremost before we can even get to a policy.
Yep.
So I think if that needs to be a broader discussion at a future meeting, if we come with,
And there is going to be some discussion on July 27th. It will be one of the kind of the toss-out questions for the roundtable. So we will, so maybe get that feedback and then move back towards a policy or, okay, great.
Can we just agree on one thing, which is turn off the comments
Yeah.
altogether?
Yeah.
Is
and
that-
the board
can you
pretty
do
much
that?
The board pretty much agreed to that last time.
Yeah.
So you can say,
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
one-way,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, I kept reading all these managing comments, and I was like, we're not
And
doing
those
it.
people I talked to who had a two-way situation, they're either considering getting rid of it, or they're telling me it's a real headache.
Yeah, I mean, that's not the proper place to be having these battles.
Right, right. And I think just a perfect example of when this could have come in handy was this past weekend, the transfer station being closed and people not getting the memo because they might not be on a certain
Yep.
Facebook page. But, just because they're not on one doesn't mean they might not be on another. That seems more informational rather than discussion board focused. So
Yep.
I think, those are the types of examples that we see that kind of warrant this discussion. And I think also just to put it on record, that was pretty embarrassing to see from this weekend. People,
Yeah, for them, dropping off garbage that
Yeah.
is at a closed facility.
yeah,
Yeah.
but that's
And
another.
disrespectful, I think. Yeah.
All right, so we'll bring that back up after we get some feedback. The next item is possible move to a full-time fire chief. Now, you may recall that prior to the annual town meeting, the fire department, through its Board of Fire Engineers, had recommended first potentially having a deputy chief. The board discussed that and was okay with it, but then they came back and said, we'd rather have a fire captain that reports to the Board of Fire Engineers. They've been looking at it after the approval was made, and they're really seeing some potential problems because times are changing with the Board of Fire Engineers format continuing as it is. We've done some research, and there's really only 3 towns in eastern Mass. That's Rockport, West Newbury, Essex, that still have the Board of Fire Engineers, and there's only about 9 in the whole state.
Really?
And so, even though the funding was approved for the fire captain, the Board of Fire Engineers heard from the fire company, which is really the rank and file of the fire department, that they should explore, before we make this final, explore whether there are other alternatives. And there really are four different things that could be done. One, you could continue to, with the Board of Public Works model. Two,
The Board of Engineers model.
I'm sorry,
Yep.
Board of Engineers, because the Board of Public Works is another one of our boards. Two, you could look at moving to a full-time chief under a statute that's known informally as the weak fire chief statute. And that statute basically puts the fire department's top oversight with the Board of Selectmen, but a full-time fire chief would be discharging what the selectmen were agreeing with.
So kind of like how it is now, to some degree?
No, because the Board of Engineers is a separate board.
Yeah, but we have say over,
You have say, under the Board of Engineers model, you have say, that's correct, you have say over the annual reappointment of the personnel.
yeah,
The same would be the case under the weak chief statute. If you went to the next option, which is the strong chief statute, the fire chief would be making the appointments.
yeah.
And the fire chief would have, and it's in the statute, absolute control over the department. We looked at these, and there's a fourth option, which I'll get to in a minute. We looked at these possibilities with an eye toward how many cities and towns in Massachusetts are currently, we already know that there's only about 9 Board of Engineers. But the rest of the cities and towns, what are they using? And it turns out about 60% of them are using the weak chief model, not the strong chief model. Those are usually in larger communities.
Cities more than
Yes.
towns, yeah.
Yes. And so, as the board considers whether you want to do anything with this, I would ask you to pause and really consider that weak chief model. You know, we heard that potentially that style was not really in place in a lot of places, and therefore there wouldn't be necessarily a good applicant pool, but that's not what we found out when we dug into the data. A fourth option could be to name your chief through an intermunicipal agreement with another community. And that's the same thing as choosing either the weak chief or the strong chief. It would just be through intermunicipal agreement, whatever that particular community had, whether that be strong or weak, you could name them as your chief through that kind of proxy process.
Could you explain that a little more? Would it be a shared chief in that arrangement?
Yes, it would be, and they would be the professional that really understood all the requirements and all the management needs, but they would not be able to turn out the administrative burden that is incumbent upon the Essex Fire Department. So under that model, you would likely still have to hire that captain, you know, that original thought, and probably also pay the community that's working with you through the IMA some kind of money to have part of their chief's time devoted to your management.
So under the Board of Fire Engineers, they have more autonomy than they would under a weak chief, would they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they want to go that route?
At this point in time, after there was a meeting with the fire company, the fire chief got back to me and reported back that they're looking to go, they would like to really explore the full-time chief. They did say they'd like a strong chief, that's what came out of the fire company meeting. But again, that really needs to be vetted and discussed before you just turn it over to one or the other.
Right.
Because I would say that after 200 years of one model, which is the weakest form, moving straight to the most authoritative form, when 60% of the communities in the Commonwealth are using the middle option, I don't know that you want to make that jump, especially, now, you could make that jump and after a few years decide that you want to go there, but I don't know if I would start there.
Right.
And it's really something that that you need to take time, and I can help you research it, perhaps even talk to some folks that you know on the fire department or who are on the Board of Fire Engineers, because if this is going to be done, it would mean a vote at the fall town meeting to adopt, if you're not going to do a regional thing at this point, you would adopt either the strong chief or the weak chief statute, and that automatically extinguishes, no pun intended, the Board of Fire Engineers.
You
They
did
would-
plan that.
Now, well, you know,
The Board of Fire Engineers is not really an option at this point, moving
It-
forward.
It is, it's
No,
option
it
you
A.
could, that's the
but-
do nothing. It could continue
Right, but
forward,
is
and
that-
they could hire that captain.
Yeah.
But the rank and file have
But there's a
reported.
reason why they want to get out of that.
Yes, they think that, that clear authority from just one chief who doesn't have to reflect back at regular meetings to get things done and decided. They feel that really the environment for a fire department today has really grown up around our fire department. And that's why you see so few of these things left.
Yeah.
But it's still a legal option. In fact, it's the default option. If you don't adopt as a town strong or weak chief statute, then the statute that we're using right now continues to be enforced. It's the default.
They may not want to leave the Board of Fire Engineers if they don't get a strong chief. If they have a weak chief, they may not want it. They may want to stay where they are.
It's possible, and I think that's where we have to look at, how do we broaden the conversation? Perhaps you bring in the Board of Fire Engineers and maybe some of the top people in the fire company to just have a discussion and talk about the pros and cons, something of that nature. Because it's a big change,
Yeah,
so it should be done in a well-informed way.
right.
How do you feel about that idea of getting, the Board of Engineers at the table and the three folks from the company who represent their
Yeah, I mean, we
interests?
could have them as an appointment or something for
Yeah,
15 minutes, 20 minutes,
Okay, I think it's going to be longer than that.
but at least to start the conversation.
Yeah, but,
see where people are with it.
so here's a question. Is it better to do that in a separate meeting so that it's not a business meeting, we have stuff to do? I hate shutting
Right,
things
special
down.
session,
Yeah, like, is that,
You could do a morning meeting.
like
Most
we
of
did
them-
with the shipbuilding.
Right, most of them are available in the morning.
we could use the fire, or we could use one of those offices over there, or would you rather?
Or you
do it
could
here?
use the police conference room, which is right there in their building. It's a smaller.
You just like the air conditioning in that building.
We have it too.
I know you do. It's a-
But yeah, so why don't I look into pulling some people together, and then we can reach out and decide what day is best and pull that together.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That, I would appreciate having them at the table to discuss this and just get their thoughts, because, as the company, it sounds like they are in favor of moving from that weakest point to the strongest point, and I
Yes,
want to hear from
They
them.
they
just
are,
their
that's what they
rationale and-
expressed, yes.
And it's not really the weakest point they're in now. The weak chief is probably a little bit
Well,
weaker.
the weakest is really what we're in now.
Okay.
It is, because it's a decentralized form of management, going then to, in the middle, the weak chief, which is one point of contact,
Yeah.
but with guidance from the selectmen.
Right.
And then the strong chief, which is, yep, you went and hired the person.
Yeah,
But
and
once you
they're in
hire them, they
charge.
have absolute control, absolute authority.
yeah, and maybe you should kind of talk about we had read that article about wanting to dismiss a strong chief and for cause, explain
Right.
what for cause is, because
Right.
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 So you'd have to have something that rose to a level of where something was done improperly to remove a strong chief. Then there was this interplay between the strong chief statute, which absolutely says for cause with a hearing, and the employment contract that a chief would have, whether there be a weak chief or a strong chief.
Yeah.
And in one particular case, and we're still waiting for council to research whether it was overturned again, the appeals court said that if a board of selectmen did not renew a chief's contract, that's not removal for cause, that's just simply saying we're going to go in a different direction, because the agreement will have come to its natural end. And that came out of the appeals court. The original case said that, a hearing is necessary for cause, no matter what. That was appealed. The appeals court said, no, not necessarily if there's an employment contract involved. And now, was there ever any nuance to that or anything at the Supreme Judicial Court that said the statute dictates? Our council's initial view of it was, no, the statute still dictates, but he's still researching. And I did provide him with that citation.
So how long is a contract generally? Is
3
it-
years.
Yeah, okay.
And the other thing, I just think what's important to emphasize is that, you know, there are some things that we, I think all agree are non-negotiable. Call fire department. Public safety is really the most important thing, providing the service. And I think it'd be good for us to start that conversation with like, what are the non-negotiables on this so that we can build from there? Because we're gonna each have to give a little bit to kind of get what we need.
Right.
And,
And it's important that, you know, that's another point there with the weak chief. If those non-negotiables are like, you know, you need to come in, whoever this person is, and foster this, not something else because you thought it was a better idea. There's more control and back and forth collaboration
Right.
under the weak chief.
Yep.
We have even heard of strong chief situations where an expectation was set, but then the person decided to go off in a different direction, and it wasn't good for the community.
Right.
So it's one of these things where, you know, do you jump right in all the way, or do you try something to make sure that you've got a good fit before you strengthen it maybe later? So, yes, I'll try to pull that together.
thank you.
The next is the third-party billing contract. So whenever we have an ambulance run or a medical services run, that's paid for by people who have health insurance. And each year, we consider whether we should renew. We're with Comstar right now. The fire chief was considering looking at other providers, but really didn't get off the ground sufficiently. And he said, let's go with Comstar for another year. He's going to put it on the docket to really review more thoroughly over the next year. Comstar takes 7% of what is billed. We've always had great service out of them. His question is whether there's someone out there that will provide the same service for less money. But again, it didn't really get thoroughly researched. So what I have here and what I recommend and what he recommends is another year with Comstar.
Yeah. Okay.
So do you need a motion?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve the successor third-party ambulance billing contract to Comstar?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Everyone said aye, right? Thank you. Okay. Thanks, Brendan.
Thank you.
Did he hear others were out there that it might be cheaper, or he just?
He didn't know whether they were cheaper, that there are other options.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So, but they didn't get enough chance to research
But
it.
7% is a pretty good
Yeah.
number,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, now moving to the cedar siding replacement for the public safety building. We did open bids last week, and the bids ranged from $154,287 all the way up to $287,000, almost $288,000. The apparent low bidder is JLN Companies LLC of North Andover. And under the bidding laws, you have to start with the apparent low bidder. Our consulting engineer that put together the plans and specifications and reviewed the bid came up with a number of questions, which JLN did answer today. And a number of the areas were satisfied, in the opinion of our consulting engineer. What remains is the fact that they're not showing a lot of past experience with this particular product. But since this project is really classified as general construction project, I would have to check with town council to see whether you have, if that's a valid reason. I don't think it is.
Go back to cedar shingles.
Yeah. And so,
That was a debate, Dexter, that we had.
I was there.
so at this point, my recommendation is for me to do the follow-up with all the references that they did provide, even if it wasn't a shingle replacement project, And also to get from them whether they have any specialized plan to deal with this product if they haven't dealt with it before. What they said so far is they sometimes hire subcontractors that are well-versed in a particular thing. So between town council and the references, I'm going to come up with an answer, and unless there's a, something that sticks out that have to go back to the board, my recommendation is for the board to award it to this company contingent upon the process fully checking out both legally and with the references.
Can you require them to hire a subcontractor who's,
I don't think you can.
okay,
See, they're certified under the Division of Capital Asset Management and Maintenance, DCAM,
yeah,
as a general construction contractor. They're not in bad standing.
right?
It's, as much as you would like to see that they worked with that specific product, I don't know if we can specify it. I'm going to have that conversation in the morning with town
Yeah.
council.
I guess the question is, I may not have worked with a specific product, but if the process of building it or doing it is the same as other products,
They've indicated that it is, and that they do not view it, they said this in writing, they don't view it as a specialty type of thing anyway.
oh, okay. But you understand what I'm
I
saying?
do,
Like,
I do.
yeah.
So is the board willing to
Yeah.
consider signing outside of the meeting once we go through the process of checking both legally and with references?
Sure, so you gave us some motion language? Is that what you want
Yeah.
today? Could you read it, could you say it
Well,
again?
I would say this, that the board would vote to sign a contract outside of a meeting with JLN Companies LLC DBA Revived Property Solutions, contingent on town council indicating that legally, under the mass bidding laws, you really have to go with the lowest bidder so long as the references, the past references check out, especially in the category of general construction. And I'm
So
gonna get-
moved, but I have a question. What happens if town council says, no, it doesn't, you
And I'm
don't?
not going to have you sign anything, and we'll have to engage in more discussions.
All right.
Because, and go ahead, do that, and I'll just explain.
Seconding.
Discussion, go ahead.
Yeah,
I wanted to let you know that in a case like this, even if a contractor withdraws their bid for convenience, let's say they said, you're right, we're nervous about this, which they didn't say, or came up with some other excuse, that's why people have to file a bid bond. So in a case like that, the bid bond would be forfeited, and we would get that money,
Yeah,
which is 5% of what their bid was.
Yeah.
And that helps you bridge the gap between them and the next highest bidder. So anyway, that's all.
Yeah.
So if you want to take your vote.
okay, all in favor?
all right.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Sure.
When would that start?
They said within 3 weeks of an award of a contract. Yeah, and they said,
How long would it take?
I think they said today, 3 to 5 months.
Oh, really?
Total.
Okay.
It'll be before winter.
Yeah. The National Grid Project, at the last meeting, you discussed how to replace some utility poles at the Centennial Grove. National Grid wanted to remove some trees that were either hazardous or likely to become hazardous. We spoke with them further between meetings, and they've agreed to let some of the larger pines stay. They can live with that, but there were, I believe, 3 critical ones that have to come down. And so as long as the board is okay with that, that will allow them to do the project. So it's just asking the board, do you want to amend your vote to note that only the 3 that are critical come down, instead of, at last meeting, you were saying that really none should come down.
So if we don't amend our vote, then nothing will
They won't
happen.
do the project.
They won't do
Because it's
anything.
not worth it to them, because they really feel like,
Replace new poles and stuff like that?
right, and some of it is constructability, it's in their way.
Yeah.
And other trees, it comes down to them feeling like this thing is at its end of its life, and here we are
Yeah.
putting good money into this, only to have a call in the wintertime that
Right.
it's cracked again. So
Yeah.
Is the board okay with that
Yeah, I
revised?
I think we have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. Somebody sent me a picture yesterday. Was it yesterday that there was like a flash storm?
I think it was Saturday.
Was it Saturday? No, it was yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday.
Something came down at Centennial Grove and hit a shed, didn't it? A tree?
Yes.
Concession stands?
No, it's actually in the DPW yard.
Oh.
A tree on the margin fell and dented a metal shed that they use. It also ruined a fence. I believe it's actually, I'm sorry, the water department yard. There's a metal shed there and a fence. And the fence, a few sections were destroyed and flattened.
Yeah.
So it's already been turned in with photos for a potential insurance claim. So we at least see what coverage we have.
All right, I'm going to ask a dumb question. So I went for a walk yesterday and looked at all these trees, and a lot of them had that red tape on them,
Yes.
right? If we say only take 3, and one of the other ones falls and there's damage, is it almost the same principle of your neighbor told you there was a dead tree, you didn't do anything about it, something happened, now it's on you? So if something happens, are we liable for,
No, because we were not told, beyond the one that's in decline, that any of the other trees that they're going to save are diseased or in decline.
okay,
And since it is a walking path that's open to the public under the recreational use statute, we're insulated from liability there.
okay.
Now, if it was a tree, and this has already happened, there was a tree at the end of Hobbs Court, the limb that fell ended up having to be dealt with by the residents. But then they said, okay, but what about the rest of the tree that could be a hazard? It was looked at, and the town is taking that down because we had
Yeah.
notice of it.
Okay. Do we need to make a motion to amend our vote?
Yes, because you voted it something different, yes.
Okay, so can I have a motion to amend the earlier vote authorizing National Grid to remove the 3 critical trees along the path where the telephone poles are, not telephone poles,
Utility pole.
utility poles.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Now, one of the things that we were looking at, if the movie was going to come and film any substantial part of the movie here in Essex, it's not. But they,
Sure?
well, I haven't heard. But they still have been, they still have pointed out that they want to come here probably for one day on a Saturday to film some vehicles coming and going. And at the time, the location manager said that he would be willing to entertain replacement of the 2 garage doors, which are like accordion doors that don't work at all. In fact, if you didn't have the plywood there, they would just fall over. Replacing those with roll-up doors. And we've gotten a quote on that, and I think it's well within what they would pay. And in fact, if the movie doesn't come, it's just over $3,000 for the 2 doors. If the movie doesn't come at all, I would say that we probably approach that even with our own town property money, because it's not that much money, and it would make the garage much more functional. Right now, we really go in and out through one side door, but there are large things that come in and out of there.
So do they, are they gonna shoot those doors? Do they have a particular style or something that they?
No,
want?
no.
So it doesn't, we
They're gonna
decide.
just be shooting, really, cars coming and going from the cottage itself.
Oh, okay.
And so, if we get to that point, I can show you what, is being proposed. But I wanted to let you know that we did get that information, and even if
Are they
it's...
still standing you up? Are they?
No, I mean, the location manager told me that after they came back and said they were coming back, it changed 4 or 5 more times after that. And he said, just forget it. And I said, all right, forgotten. So I'll bring this
Thank
back.
you.
Either they'll do this, or I'll come back to you to talk about it. the rural policy plan listening sessions, I just wanted to bring this up because the board had discussed that we're going to try to get a number of different people to cover some of these sessions. I did provide the board with summaries from people who did attend. And the sessions were in things like workforce, education, housing, land use, municipal sustainability, public health, technology, transportation, water, and sewer. And we didn't cover all of those, but we had a number of them covered. It's just providing more information from the point of view of a small town as to what would be helpful for resources going forward. I don't know if you had any comments or questions on that at this time.
I have some questions. So I attended the housing meeting, and I guess my question is, where does this go? And what do they do with it? And people are implying on that call that like, oh, this is a group that's going to be working towards this stuff. And I thought it was just a once
Well,
it
what
touched.
I like about this round, and I think they update this plan, the rural policy plan for the state every 5 years. And what I like about this is the first time that they actually reached out to say we're going to have these breakout sessions and really try to connect that way. In the past, it's really not anything that we were consulted on. This seems to be a much deeper dive into it. So I'm hopeful that if they come out with a document, then there'll be more resources behind implementation.
Okay.
So I want to follow this through to its new version, and then really tap into that agency and say, which is a committee, the Rural Policy Committee, what supports are you now going to bring that this level of detail was put into the plan? What can we expect, and how can we tap into that?
Why
So
did this, go ahead.
I just had a question about, would Manchester have been considered or Rockport rural?
They are.
Are or not?
They are. They are.
They are.
And it's
okay.
because it comes down to the density, not necessarily the number of people living there total, not necessarily the exact character of the town, it's the density per square mile. And all three communities have so much open space that when you put a relatively small population against that amount of area, it comes out to meet the rural definition.
So
It's a
why did
density-based.
the school district, why are they not considered? part
I
of-
didn't understand that either, but she did go to the education session.
Yeah, and said, maybe because it's a district?
I don't know.
Yeah. They're
No,
both-
because I think there were districts that were in,
Yeah. Both communities are
yeah, that is
rural.
weird, isn't it? Maybe,
Yeah.
it did feel like there was kind of a divide between those that were in the eastern part of the state and those that were in the western part of the state. They have, I think, unique challenges there,
Yeah.
but the reason I'm asking about Manchester and Rockport is because we have one representative, so knowing that person has 3 rural communities under them, right? And then Bruce Tar has, I'm sure, more than that. So
Yeah,
they have a
17,
vested interest in kind of following that and not overlooking the 3 towns in terms of that. So that's interesting.
So I can follow with them, too.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. The secondary treatment project, we had the meeting with the city of Gloucester. And at this point, the city is still on the fence as to how many years they want to borrow for and how much of the project they want to shift to the Gloucester taxpayer. Is it going to be all of it, none of it, something in between? And until the town of Essex understands where Gloucester's going to go with it, it's harder to figure out which way the town wants to go. What they did promise is that before Thanksgiving, we will be given their final take on what's going to happen, including a better idea of what kind of, and they already gave us some pretty good preliminary numbers, what kind of money is due from us in the first 4 years, which are the years of construction.
Yeah.
And right now, it seems like a pretty good fit, and the chairman of the Board of Public Works was at this meeting as well. Pretty good fit to use some of that sewer betterment surplus fund that we have which will be available now that we've paid off the sewer debt for the construction of the sewer, to cover the costs of the project during construction. Then, at the end of that, you would know how much was expected from the town that's left, and you could do one single betterment for that. And the people would be getting the advantage of a smaller betterment because we will use some of the money from that fund. And those same people are the people who actually funded that fund because they were paying the interest on their betterments while the town was repaying at 0%. And so the people that generated the fund are the same people that are going to have this next betterment, and they're going to benefit from the fund. So that seems like the way that it naturally should go.
Yeah.
And then there's one other thing. They said, once we get closer to knowing the rules for repayment, because they're using the state revolving loan fund, when we get to the point where it's time to assess that betterment, and you're considering whether you want to match their payment cadence at 30 years or accelerate it so it's not that much interest to the town over that time and maybe do 20 years, they said they would look into if we provided them with money at a faster rate than if it was the 30-year repayment, will the SRF let them just turn our money over and therefore avoid the interest on that portion of the money?
Yeah.
The rules are complicated and we don't know yet, but we don't need to know right away because most likely no betterment's going to be assessed until the project is done and we have the money to carry through construction.
And they are probably going to go with 30 years, and they're probably not going to put it all on the taxpayer or all on the sewer rate. So it's probably going to be somewhere in the middle there. So that's what we should be thinking about.
So, between now and the fall, we're going to hear more about it, and then we can start to shape things up. But with that fund in play, as long as we know what we're expected to pay, we're not even looking for borrowing authorization in May. We're looking for an appropriation from that fund to cover this year's. And first year is only going to be like $80,000 because it's going to be a small amount of money spent by the end of the first year of construction. Seems like the way to cover it and follow it so that you know all the facts before you decide and what's flexible, et cetera.
So can I ask a couple questions? So, who is the Department of Public Works the decider on the process or whatever the funding is? Who owns what in this whole?
So the fund itself is subject to appropriation by town meeting.
Okay,
You would like both the Selectmen and the Board of Public Works to be able to say, we recommend, and the Finance Committee for that matter, we recommend the use of this fund. And right now, their chairman is on that path. And so long as the officials leading up to town meeting come to some agreement, it would seem to me, since 2/3 of the properties in Essex are paying betterments and will have to pay betterments again, you'll probably get that vote. That money came from them. That money saves them from having to spend anything for another several years. So it's a town meeting decision, but town meeting usually at least gets the feedback from the boards that are in question, including the Board of Public Works.
okay. And we had talked at some point about having a public meeting about that.
Yes.
So we could still do that once we have word, and
Yes.
it's more definitive as to
So
what the plan is.
probably after Thanksgiving, we'll have that kind of a meeting, because we'll have the exact figures.
Yep, and so that we would vote on this in the spring of 2027.
For the first year.
Yes, for the first year, and it probably is just a simple appropriation, appropriate $80,000 from this fund for this debt.
Right, but you also want to know, like, what's the plan? So you don't
Yeah,
want to...
we'll have all that, yes.
You don't want to just
Yes.
say...
Right.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
No.
Thanks for going to that meeting, I appreciate that.
It worked out well. Okay, the Historical Society and Shipbuilding Museum, the board had a separate meeting in between its regular meetings on that topic. And one of the major things discussed was giving the Historical Society and Shipbuilding Museum a sense of agreement about some of the things that they want to try so that they know that they have the Board of Selectmen behind the concept without potentially saying, and you can do these things and report back to us if you hit a snag. When I brought that to town council, he agreed that it would be better to just give a general agreement, but make each task subject to the full vetting before you say yes, not we say yes, and as long as you can get through the steps, it's get through the steps, then we could say yes. And if that's the case, they would have the option to research and provide you a full proposal about something before they even go to permitting. And if you don't like it at the proposal stage, then you've saved everybody a lot of hard work. If you do like it at the proposal stage, then you could get to the permitting. The point is, any one of these things that they want to do under this license could be done on its own, and they don't have to try to do it all at once, and you don't have to keep track of where is all this stuff, because you will have only authorized something when you were sure that it was fully vetted and met your expectations.
They want to have sort of an umbrella license that allows them to do various projects that we agree to, not
They do.
project and project and project. Is there some way to give them that, sort of safety net so that they,
I think that the agreement does
Well,
that, doesn't it?
The agreement sets everything down into tasks at the end.
yeah.
So I think it gives them that. I mean, like I said, town council agreed with what I was saying, that
Okay, so they,
there was the licenses are usually for one specific thing.
Yeah.
It's already vetted, everybody agrees, you have the license, and it's just permission to do what they're doing. This is a much more complex and varied environment, and he agreed, if they want something that says you're behind them, here it is, but these are the things that can be broken out. That's
at
his
least for
recommendation.
now.
At least for now.
The ones they've given us, yeah.
You could always amend the license later saying, this is going so well, or whatever. But it's, again, it's one of these things where it's a new facet of the relationship
Right.
with them, right?
Yeah.
And when you're doing something new, it's sometimes better to take it in small bites.
So is it more an MOU that they would be looking for rather than an umbrella license? I'm just trying to understand, that they want this assurance from the town that, we're gonna come to the table and agree on projects with them, which I understand would need their separate permitting. So maybe a license is not the right term for what they're looking for. Maybe it's an MOU or some sort of agreement that solidifies our support of them and these initiatives.
You could start with that, but if any of them got legs, right, and they're gonna, they're now managing Phragmites and they're using the historic launching path, that does demand a license.
Mhm.
You can't do that by MOU. You could do an MOU that says, as you vet each one of these things, we'll consider a specific license for
Right.
each one.
Yeah.
You could do it that way. But for them to be actively managing your resource in some way, that's where you have to have a license.
Yeah.
Okay.
I liked this because I felt like it was I think she wanted some sort of like assurance.
Yeah.
And I think that what we have drawn up does that. But my question is, if it isn't listed among the things at the end,
Well, it says they can change them or add.
change them or add, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So as things rise, they would just bring it to us.
Yeah.
I think,
yeah.
so has she seen this?
No, I wanted to bring it to the board first.
I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
So do you need a motion on that, or just go ahead and send it with her first?
I think you don't, because if you're going to assign it, like say we might go back and forth a little more, but
Yeah.
eventually you'll have a vote to sign it.
Perfect.
And town council's good with all the
Yes,
basic stuff that's in there.
yes. He kept a lot of the things they had, but also introduced the things that the firm likes to see in a license.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll get comment on that, and I want to mention as well that they did reach out to the Massachusetts Cultural Council, because another one of the things was the recertification of the Essex River Cultural District, and we did hear back from the program manager, and, there still will be certain things required of the town.
Yeah.
And I know that the Museum and Historical Society would like to have this going on a parallel path, but I don't know. I mean, it doesn't have to be done until 2028. Do you want to concentrate on the license now and come back to this? Is there something you need more information on this? Because the program manager did give quite a bit of detail as to what the town would still have to be on the hook for.
Right.
Even if they were a third-party manager.
Right, yeah, there's still some responsibility
Yes.
there.
Yes.
How would you feel about having them come do just a small presentation during one of our lighter meetings that doesn't have a full agenda? Would that be okay?
Yeah, and spell out kind of more, in more detail, this is what we're going to do, this is what we have to count on from you to get through this.
Yeah, and I think it's also good for the public to hear, what is this thing? And what's it all about?
Okay, we'll do that.
And that doesn't have to happen.
For a while.
For a while,
Wow.
because the thing doesn't have to be set up until 28. Okay? And finally, the board talked about different topics that you might cover with state legislators when they visit you this summer. And so I took those rough notes and I tried to combine commonalities and crystallize points, and I provided you with those things in my report. They're here if you don't have the report.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's on page 10 of the report.
I knew I saw it somewhere.
This is such a long, I mean, you could spend an hour on one of them.
Right, so you could say, well, maybe you want to take a couple and then come back in 6 months. I don't know. Prioritize.
I'll tell you what I really want to have an answer to, which is number 1 and
Agreed.
3. I mean, I'd love an answer on everything, but I really would love to talk about those things that are,
Number 1 and 6 look like they kind of
I mean,
play together too.
yeah.
Give them the list and let them look at it, because they might have more information on some than others. They're not gonna just do the easy ones.
But the number 1.
Yeah,
about
number 1 is probably,
is the Chapter 70 funding
Right.
formula.
And
right.
there's current discussion about that. I mean, they've been going to meetings saying that it's something about to happen, so I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, I really feel like we need to keep pressing them. I think you're right, 1 and 6 are very closely tied,
Right.
and then 3 is good. So
How about
give them the
one,
whole list and just say
Okay.
the first 3 are
These are the
fine.
ones we want first.
1,
yeah.
3, and 6 would be the most, need the most information on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they can give brief updates on the others if,
Yeah.
I would like some more information on 7 as well.
okay.
Is there, even if they had somebody on their staff address some of the other ones that they
Yep.
didn't get to after the fact is fine with me, just so that they know
Okay,
we're hot on their
so
heels.
I'll highlight 1, 3, 6, and 7.
Thank you.
Thank you. And those are the items in my report.
And they know that's coming, at least number 1 is
Oh,
coming.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, I'm sure, I hope they're answering it everywhere. Okay, so public comment. Do we have any public comment in the room? How you feeling? Good. Okay. Things went well? Good. And then online, do we have any comment online? Okay.
So for the fire chief's knowledge, the board wants to have the 3 leaders from the fire company and the Board of Fire Engineers into a future meeting to discuss, because they went through all of the options, which include keeping the Board of Fire Engineers, weak chief, strong chief, and then potentially regionalization. And we understand that the standing ask is for a strong chief, but now that we've looked at data and started to look at things, it would be important for everybody to understand exactly why and what are the pros and cons.
Okay, so let's move on to other business. May I have a motion to approve the warrant in the amount of $299,088.65?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the Selectmen's meeting of June 1st, 2026, and for the June 10th, 2026 open meeting?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to ratify the chairman's signature of a Mass Department of Industrial Accidents grant application for safety training?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Consider the approval of an exemption from the Massachusetts Conflict of Interest Law for Derek Kowalski to serve on the Board of Public Works. Do you want to give us some context on that, Pete?
Yep, so since Mr. Kowalski's company works for a large water and sewer construction company, since his company could potentially be called in for an emergency, like, so when we have an emergency break, we have to get the first person who can mobilize, and it could be his company. He's not an officer in the company, he works for the company. Also, that company wouldn't be precluded from bidding on future water and sewer work. And so he explains, after looking at this issue with the Ethics Commission and Town Council, he's disclosing the fact that he does work for that company, but that he would have to recuse himself whenever, if ever, something came up along those lines. But that it shouldn't disqualify him from serving in all the other aspects of what a member of the Board of Public Works needs to do. And so it's up to the selectmen to determine, as the appointing authority, to determine if you want to approve this exemption. He has done all of the required things that the ethics law would have him do in this situation.
And town council's comfortable with
Yes.
this? Yeah, so,
I appreciate the fact that he
went through it.
went
yeah.
through all that, so. Can I have a motion to approve the exemption from the Mass Conflict of Interest Law for Derek Kowalski to serve on the Board of Public Works?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Do we want to pause on the AFSCME?
Yes, so that's on the open session in case the board arrives at something in executive session that involves then a public vote after.
Great, so we're going to,
Yep.
should jump on that one. Approve an additional 6-month extension of the memorandum of understanding among the town of Danvers and the other members of the North Shore IT Collaborative.
And this is because although we're working on a more formalized intermunicipal agreement, it's not ready yet, and so we've been carrying the collaborative by continuing MOU until we have something to present to the
We've
members.
done this like 3 or 4 times, right?
Yes,
Okay,
at least this is the third, I believe, yeah.
okay. So should we be concerned that you're not getting to an agreement, or?
I don't think so. In fact, the annual meeting of the collaborative is in July, and I think they were waiting for that to roll that out,
Okay,
and that we're going to see something within the time period. The director says that he really feels like this is the last extension of the MOU.
great. So can I have a motion to approve the additional 6-month extension to the memorandum of understanding among the town of Danvers and the other members of the North Shore IT Collaborative?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
This next one, Essex River Day, I know there was an idea that they might offer this, but Annie, do you know whether,
Yeah, so Rob stopped by because on his way elsewhere, but he would like to have, you know, the bonfire, the beer truck that we usually have for River Day, that the Lions usually pull
Right,
together.
right.
I think the Lions have been overwhelmed with fewer people and just a lot to handle, so they weren't able to do it. So Rob Fitzgibbon would like to pull this together. He had noted a date of June 27th, and I told him, I think you should be flexible with your dates, because you've got a lot of approvals to kind of
Yeah.
seek.
Right.
So if you can think of other dates later in the summer, I think it would be nice for us to consider it. I think everybody really likes the bonfire and the beer truck.
When did it historically take place? Did it?
Last
Right
weekend,
now, yeah.
the
Yeah.
20th.
Okay.
Yes.
So it used to kick the summer off.
Pardon?
It used to kick off the summer, essentially.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
What if we consider it to close out the summer?
Yeah, I think what he'd like to know is, what does he have to do? And then,
I can tell him that.
can we help him? And then, you know, I think that he'll have to kind of negotiate with all of the different things he has to do to figure out what date would work best.
Right.
And
So-
he's taking this on as an individual citizen himself? No
Yeah.
committee, no... Okay.
When was it
Just a fun
last?
guy.
I think
They
they
didn't
had a
have it
rain,
last
they had a
year.
rain out, right?
Last year it rained out, yeah.
So, is the board okay, and this traditionally has been the case, are you okay with the use of the town events fund for things like a dumpster to haul away trash, another dumpster to haul away the ashes and the nails and all of that? And I believe they sometimes have need for a police detail
Ambulance or police?
and an entertainment. Sometimes they have entertainment.
And then they usually have a bunch of guys with hoses at the ready, too.
So the town events fund has $5,000 in it. This year, this fiscal year, since we didn't really have any events, it still has $5,000 in it. That's going to close out to free cash.
Yep.
But there'll be a brand-new one with the same amount in it.
And is, how much is it traditionally cost to do this?
It's usually been under 3,000.
Okay.
So is that okay with the board?
Yeah, so it ends in next week,
Yeah, but then a new fund
new one.
for 5,000. So I don't want him to do all this planning if you weren't interested in using the fund. But it sounds like you would be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there any other funds planned in the next fiscal year? This one might be again, if Rob gets his act together.
If it comes around again, yeah, and it might wear a little thin. Now, we do have a
What about that celebration thing?
stabilization fund that we created
Yeah,
that has some money in it, but that takes a town meeting vote,
okay,
whereas this is a budgeted line item.
yeah, but it would not be a huge town meeting ask, it would be
Yeah.
2,000 or
Right.
something like that.
So depending on how that went, if we think, okay, we're going to run shy, then in November you could do it. I'll put it on the list.
Could he also potentially seek out sponsorship for folks if a
Yes.
local hauling company wants to sponsor the dumpster or, okay, so it doesn't all have to come from the town
That's
entertainment
right.
fund. Okay, great.
Great. And I'm really happy that somebody stepped forward
Yeah.
to do this, because I know the Lions have, maybe he could become a Lion. Mark would be so happy to have another Lion,
Remember, first one in 50 years.
fresh blood.
It's like the Shakers, they're a dying breed.
Like a different reason they
Yep.
Okay, so consider the cost of rowing craft racks for the town's property at Redgate Road and a possible future mechanism for funding. So, this was interesting, because we just had to read the open space plan. And the open space plan talks about this kind of stuff.
Yep.
I wonder, is there any money, oh, hi.
He's here to tell you all about the
Sorry.
racks.
I just didn't know if there was money behind.
There's money.
No, he doesn't.
So the current racks that we have on Canomo Point, we purchased those in 2021. They were $4,000 a piece, going to the same vendor. If he bought them today at the price of metal, it would be $6,500 for one rack, which accommodates 12 kayaks. That's if you want to go the metal option. I haven't heard back from the other two vendors that we reached out to. Everybody's spread thin at the start of the summer. There's also other options we could pursue, somebody to construct them out of wood, which would probably be cheaper as well. But in terms of longevity and what we already have, we know the product that we currently have out on the point.
That came out of the harbor master's budget?
No, I believe that
No.
was CPC or?
I believe we had Canomo Point funding at the time.
Right.
Now,
Right.
what you could do, though, is, get through this season, but for the fall town meeting, you could ask the Community Preservation Committee to consider whether they would fund one or two racks and take it, there's plenty of money in there. And that's what's for,
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And we talked about 12 anyway, right?
There's currently 12 just on the shoreline over there anyway, so there is
Not a lot of room for a lot of racks anyway.
I'd say maybe 2
Yeah.
at most, but I think you could dress it up with some landscaping and, put the racks in there, it would look very nice.
Yeah.
So I'll bring it back to the board. In August, you're going to start talking about the fall town meeting and the list of things, and that'll be one of the things to consider.
Okay, so we are not going to be doing that for this June.
Correct.
And we're saying it's going to be $12,000 at least for 2
13.
racks?
If you wanted to, and that's if you want to go aluminum at today's prices, that could fluctuate, it could go up, could go down a little bit. It could also be cheaper with wood, so I can reach out to carpenters or other marine professionals that we've used to see what they would construct out of wood.
Would CPA funds apply?
Yeah, yes,
Could we apply to CPA for that too?
yeah, definitely.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you, have a good night.
Did you read the open space plan?
I did not.
It's worth reading the executive summary, just kind of the stuff that they want to do. Because I think sometimes they work in a silo and aren't necessarily, I think it'd be nice for other folks to know kind of what they value and what they want to do, but they have to work all of us together. So it's good plan, but needs help.
Sounds good.
Oh, consider a request from Lisa Cleverden for a rain date of August 9th for the First Congregational Church of Essex, August 2nd, use of the pavilion at Centennial Grove. Is there can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Is there anyone else scheduled for those dates?
There isn't, right, Pam, on the 9th? And I would say this, only if, well, once you say yes, you say yes, but if someone did approach you, it'd be a shame to lose the revenue. But
Yeah,
at the same time, yeah, because the church fee was waived anyway, so it's not like they're gonna lose revenue over it.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Consider a request from Lori Henderson to rent the Centennial Grove Pavilion on July 18th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m.
We
And that's-
changed
That
that
was,
to-
who was here earlier.
Yeah. Did you say,
She was looking at different hours, but these are the
she
hours.
said she'd be there a little earlier than
12 to
11.
3. Well, no, 12 to 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
she,
so
Geez, so
I think
these
Pam
hours cover it.
got that on there, 11 to 4.
yeah, so
Okay.
she's got a window on both ends.
Yeah.
All those in, did we, thank you.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Ratify the approval of a one-day wine and malt license for Woodman's Salt Marsh Tent, Douglas Woodman for use on Wednesday, June 17th, 2026, between the hours of 11 and 10.
I'm gonna recuse and step out.
Okay, does he have to
So
leave
moved.
the, actually?
It's recommended that he does leave, yes.
Sorry, you've been banished to the hallway.
Oh my gosh.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, you can come back. Consider the board's possible future system for responding to legislative alerts provided by the Massachusetts Municipal Association. Do you want to give us some context? for
Yeah,
that?
so from time to time, the MMA will say that there's some piece of legislation making its way through the legislature, and they'll send you these legislative alerts. And Dexter asked about, what the board usually does along these lines. You could advocate as individuals, but I think it's worth a conversation among the board members as to whether you want to do that, or if time allows, once one of these alerts comes out, get it on the next available agenda and come to some consensus.
Do you study these when they come in?
I look at them, but I would never be the one that would advocate for them.
Right. But you could coax us that this is really important or not so important.
Right, but outside of a meeting, it's hard to do.
Yeah,
I could do that at a meeting, yeah.
yeah.
Have you ever done this before?
We've done something.
Once in a
not-
while,
Yeah.
but not consistently, like every time they write,
Right.
the selectmen are,
Yeah.
getting involved.
How often do these pleas come from them?
Probably half a dozen times in a year.
I'm not adverse to learning about them and considering them, and we may say takes no position on some stuff, but did you want to speak to it since you kind of brought
Yeah,
it
I
forward?
just thought some of them, especially when they feel pertinent to Essex, it might be a show of good support to sign on as the town.
Mhm.
But I do understand too that timing might be tricky with how often we meet and can approve, ratification of the board's signature for signing on to any of these. So I think I almost feel like once we are made aware of them, I think we probably all get these updates. If it seems as if there's a deadline that could work, we could ask for it to go onto an agenda. And if there isn't, then if we are comfortable signing off as individuals on these, I think that could be.
Yeah, we could decide at the yeah. If we ever decided to, as a group to say, yeah, we support this, I would want our legislators to also know that we did that.
Yes, and in fact, they even provide a template for written communication,
Okay, great.
which we would,
To
definitely
MMA?
copy. What's that?
To MMA?
MMA provides a template so that you can get the thoughts out. So what are you saying then? You're saying that if the next one comes down the line, I'm going to make sure everybody sees it and knows about it, but then, Dexter, what is it when you say individual, if it doesn't make it to the agenda, or?
If it doesn't make it to the agenda, or if as individuals it's a priority that we support, we just sign off as the individual without our selectman's
Which you
title.
can do, certainly, as an elected official.
But I think if any of us see any that seem important enough for us to sign on to within a deadline, then I would recommend asking it to be on the agenda.
Yeah, and hopefully MMA understands boards and agendas and all that sort of stuff, that they will, if they can, try to get things out
Yeah.
well in advance so that the communities have a chance to address it if that's how they want to do it through the board itself.
And some of these alerts, when they provide the template for you to sign on to your legislator, doesn't always come with a deadline. So those can always just be ongoing advocacy notices to our legislature, which I think are also effective.
Okay. Sorry, excuse me. Acknowledge, so you noticed that the ramp is completed at the library, and they noted it on social media, so we just want to acknowledge and thank the students from Essex Tech who rebuilt the library handicapped accessible ramp. That's a great project, and they actually do a lot of projects for us.
They
and-
built that ramp originally,
Oh,
and
did
so 20-something years later, they came back and refurbished it.
That's really nice.
Awesome.
So thank you very much to the students from Essex Tech and for the library for pulling it all together and getting it ready for them to do the work. Are there any agenda items for the next meeting that we wanted to bring forward that we?
So I had one that I was chatting with a couple weeks ago with Brendan about the 2015 Department of Revenue Management study and whether it might be worthwhile asking the DOR if they can reassess that, since it's been now 11 years. And from our meeting, Brendan, I think we found, 2 items that have been addressed from that first study. So going back to the DOR to see if they can re-examine what's still on that report that we haven't addressed, if there's things that are outdated that need to be updated to be in line with where we're at now, just to either make new recommendations, say those recommendations still hold, or say that some of those recommendations wouldn't even be relevant anymore.
How many recommendations were there altogether?
A good dozen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
2 have been accomplished,
At the time,
Two were
pretty-
thought-
addressed.
well, yeah, and I think some felt that they didn't want to do any,
right,
take
so
any action.
all of
so-
those items in 2015 were brought to the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah,
And the board said, address these, but these other ones we didn't want to take action on. And so it has sat in that.
gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
So we've talked a little, you and I have talked a little bit about this. There's been conversation from several folks, Mark Lynch, Jody Harris. We have talked about, are there things that we need to look at structurally So I think part of our meeting next time is going to be talking about, okay, how do we look at the structure of town government and whether it's going to serve us for the next 20 to 30 years or longer? And how do we approach that? So there are different strategies that you've outlined, and we'll talk about what those could be. And I think the fire department conversation is part of that. This is part of that, and kind of modernizing town government, and it's a bite to take. So I think we're just going to start slow and look at how we can kind of maybe look at some things in the next year or two.
And if you eventually come up with an ad hoc committee to study that, it will naturally address a lot of the comments that are in the management study because they were structurally oriented.
Yeah. This all feeds into kind of those same questions. So now that I've said it, we'll have to get ourselves organized for that. Okay.
Something that I would like to consider, it doesn't have to be at the next meeting, but at some meeting is for Centennial Grove, the opening of the lake area, not so much the pavilion or anything else, but those grounds there. I don't know what is the responsibility of the DPW, what's the responsibility of the Y, but like it needs new sand every once in a while. The dock, there's like 2 docks there. I don't know whether one is going to stay on the beach all summer or they're going to put that
One of them
out.
was the fishing dock that needs repairs, and
The metal one. Well, now
there's one out, the swim float's already out there, I believe.
but there's another swim float that's on the beach.
I think that's the fishing dock, no?
No.
It's another swim float. I'll ask about.
Yeah.
So I can
ran
definitely.
into him the other day and asked him,
Okay.
there was where that trash can that the solar powered trash can was, there were some studs sticking up a couple inches, and so I asked them if they'd shave those down because
Yeah.
some kid's gonna step on it. They put a cone over it, but
I can definitely put this together for the next meeting and get a full report on all of that and what's going to be done.
yeah, what they do in
Yeah.
the summer to prepare for, because town residents use it. It's not just the water.
Right, yeah.
So a couple of things. We did propose a walk, like a field trip over to Centennial Grove to do
Yes.
a walk, and I think that was maybe met with some cynicism.
It came back with, well, what are the specific items? And we said, well, it's just to observe, and we have not heard back yet on
And this is the
whether-
kind of stuff that it's good for all of us to know, right? Because we're responsible, the 3 of us are responsible for that property.
Right.
So, yeah, I really, even if they don't want to go with us, I don't care. Let's go, we'll take a walk there and then take a walk back here.
Yeah.
And just see kind of what is the status quo right now and what projects are pending. That, we already talked about
I'll
this.
set up the walk, then I'll reach out with dates.
Yep.
And then we can just tell them, well, we're going on the walk now. Maybe
Yep.
you'll get someone, maybe you won't.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, because I did take that path, which I'd never taken before,
The one with the poles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
don't get mad at me. Is there a way for public access? Oh, because this camp uses the house too.
They do.
I was trying to think, is there a way to get to the water, not going, going through the cottage, but we couldn't do that because the students are using that.
Right, and,
Okay.
yeah. That's generally, we were going to limit it if the movie came, but it was going to limit what they could do with the
Right,
camp.
yeah, okay, sorry. I also was there, and that big pile of stuff is still there. When
You
is
mean the,
Wrap?
the wrap?
oh, they're starting tomorrow. Both of the big dump trucks were in disrepair, and they couldn't start moving the stuff, and now they've got at least one back online.
Okay. It stinks, and it's dirty
Oh,
and
it's
gross.
just a mess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's go through the license we have, and you're gonna pause on this one. Commercial shellfish student license, may I have a motion to approve?
Sorry. items that could not be
Oh, I'm
reasonably
sorry.
anticipated.
I have a couple of general announcements, but go ahead.
I was just going to mention I received written guidance from the State Ethics Commission this weekend regarding my position when coming to meetings for licenses and permits for businesses. Brendan has that, so I don't know how you usually handle if that goes into the minutes, if that gets sent out to
It's
the other
actually
members.
confidential unless you want it to be shared.
I think I'd be fine with it being shared and
Okay.
on public record. Just
Very good, I can do that.
thank you,
So what does that mean? Can you just give me like the summary?
Brendan. Do you want to
Yeah, so-
recap that?
You want to go get that out in the hall? Is that, no, it's an emergency? I'm just worried that it's an emergency.
It's not, but,
Okay.
no, I'll just turn it down, so.
So generally speaking, when Dex reached out to town council, he said, you know, out of an abundance of caution, do not participate in licensing or any other matter that has to do with a competitor being defined as someone that's in the restaurant business, generally, okay? Whereas the Ethics Commission came back, and we're waiting for them to put it in writing. It takes a while for them to put it in writing. They had told him this, but it takes weeks to get the written part.
Yeah.
They said, you know, that's too conservative, and it really comes down to, is there a business that's similar, meaning a seafood counter business that has kind of a takeout counter that's next door or across the street? And there are none. And so under the ethics law, that's really all that they want to limit it, beyond Woodman's itself, of course, which he has to
Yeah.
recuse from. And so we discussed it with town council today, and he was in agreement that with what Dex is actually going to do, that just to dispel any appearance of conflict, something in the middle where any restaurant in town that is the same type of restaurant as Woodman's, and that is like a takeout seafood. So that's going to be Farnham's, and that's going to be Essex Seafood, that he is going to not participate in those, but he will participate with respect to any other restaurant.
That seems very reasonable.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I really like that people are doing this because I think it kind of helps you feel confident that folks aren't questioning you.
Here to
Yeah.
do the right things.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the commercial shelf?
Now the general announcements.
Sorry.
So this is going to
I have
come,
nothing I want to do tonight, so except listen
Really
to
just want to
this.
get into executive session.
yeah, I
don't
know.
you?
This is going to be a reminder on your next agenda, but that's not going to be until July 13th. So on July 15th, we have learned that the Planning Board and the Board of Public Works are having a joint public shade tree scenic way hearing for two different locations. There are two different laws out there that require the tree warden, which is the Board of Public Works, and the Planning Board, when it involves the scenic way, to have a public hearing on what people want to do that would involve trees or stone walls along the way. There's a private resident at Choate Street that needs to cut a tree along a scenic way, so that requires a hearing. And then the Board of Public Works, in running the road over 30 Apple Street, need to probably widen the break in the stone wall, and there are some small trees that need to come down. They're having that hearing at 7 o'clock on July 15th. Is it anything that the board feels like you want to be posted for, or would you just attend it and watch what happens? If you want to express your views, it would be better to post.
Probably view, don't you think?
Yeah, I don't have anything to say.
Yeah, so you can go to it if you want. I just didn't want you to be caught by, what's all this about the trees and the stone walls?
Okay.
These things just came in. And then
Where is it?
it's here in Town Hall,
Okay.
7 o'clock on the 15th of July. Peter and Dex wanted to let you know that Annie and I got invited by the Planning Board Chair to a meeting that involves the preserve at Essex, now that it's on its official way to happening. They're looking at using a particular developer, and they've mentioned that name. It's not a sure thing yet, but they wanted all of the different departments to be able to talk candidly with not only the proponent, landowner, but with the prospective developer. So it's a private meeting, but we just wanted to let you know that we got invited and we're going to attend.
Okay.
It's tomorrow at noon in Town Hall.
What are the types of items that are typically discussed at that type of
Well, they're
meeting?
going to want to hear, from the Board of Health for sure about like, here, what are the mechanics of the wastewater that's proposed? They're going to want to hear from the Conservation Commission about, okay, which is a whole thing that still isn't done yet. How should we be looking at that? Anything that has to do with the physical alteration in a board or committee that has some kind of purview there. It's not a type of meeting that we've ever had because we really haven't had large subdivisions.
Mhm.
But Lisa felt that it would be good to bring people together, so that's happening.
So who's requesting it, the planning board? or
Planning
the-
board.
Okay.
The planning board is, there was, I shouldn't say that. The planning board felt that it would be good to bring everyone together once they heard from the engineering consultant for the applicant that it might be a good idea. So she was in agreement and said, can everyone come together? So that's what's going to happen.
So can we take notes
Yeah.
and share them with
Yep.
these two?
Yep.
Is this the type of meeting where someone can make sure that the buildings are cute?
I don't think so.
No, we're going to bring that to town meeting, have everybody vote on who gets to decide what's cute.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll be a fun one.
Yes.
Wouldn't it?
Okay. Are we finished with any?
That's it,
Okay.
unless there's something else.
Mike,
No
okay.
more, no more surprise items.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion to approve the commercial shellfish student license for Faith Costello?
And I will recuse myself.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I have a motion to approve a one-day wine and malt license for Lori Henderson for use at the Centennial Grove Pavilion, Saturday, July 18th, 2026, between the hours of 12 a.m. and 3 p.m.? Is it 12 p.m. and 3 p.m.?
That's when the actual
12 a.m.
alcohol event is going to happen. So
Yeah, it
that's
shouldn't be AM, sorry.
12
The
noon.
long party,
12
Pam.
p.m. to 3 p.m. typo.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so I want to chunk up the, these,
I mean, it
We
is,
can vote for ourselves in this, right? If we're in here, Andy's in here, I'm in here.
I don't think it's a problem.
I don't either.
so can I, how about if we go,
With all of
I
them.
mean, you can say as they appear on the agenda and it's done, unless you want to break it down.
so how about if we do all of the appointments for town offices which run up to the fire department?
So moved.
As noted, okay, you're,
Second.
jeez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Great. And then let's take the fire department appointments for 1 year commencing 7/1/26. And there's a large list of firefighters and EMTs and all that. And thanks to everybody who's putting their names forward, because that's not just a name, it's work and it's commitment of their, safety and making sure that we're all safe. So could I have a motion to approve all of the folks for the fire department?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And thank you for all those people who are volunteering for the town. And I think there are still some openings on the website for committees that
Yes.
might need,
Yes, there are vacancies on some boards and committees.
yeah, maybe what I'll do is repost that on the page tomorrow, just so that people know there's still some openings.
I know the town clerk is kind of our current town page. Can
Yep.
we get them to put something out as well?
Yep, okay.
Thank you.
And then, we're going to go into executive session. Are we going to return to
Just so I can
open-
do that recommended motion, I recommended the board now move into executive session to discuss collective bargaining, specifically a potential memorandum of agreement with the AFSCME union, that the chairman declare that an open discussion of this matter would be detrimental to the board's negotiating position, and that the board will be returning to regular session to conclude the regular business after the executive session concludes.
So moved.
Someone says, yeah?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So this is all we need, is this?
Yep.
Oh, I have mine, I don't have paper, but,
So do we have to go downstairs or can
Yeah.
we stay here? Oh,
Well, there's nobody.
Well, just stay here.
We can stay here, and if you just step out, I'll come get you. Yeah, as long as it's gotta be,
do I have to say anything about getting back in session? We already did that in the executive session.
no, so you're back to open session to conclude the meeting. There was one agenda left, agenda item left.
So can I have a motion to approve the signature of the memorandum of agreement with the AFSCME? How do you say that?
AFSCME, AFSCME, just don't
AFSCME.
use the
C is
C.
silent.
It's silent, of course. I don't know how I didn't know that. The AFSCME union.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.